I will be sharing 5 tips that hopefully will be able to guide you through a successful competition. As you know, it all starts with the 5 challenge streams. And the first tip is really to submit it. I know it sounds silly, but you won't be able to compete or win if you don't submit it. So I know this may sound obvious, but the reason why I'm highlighting this is because many people do not submit an application because they don't feel like they are strong enough, because they don't feel prepared enough. There's no downside in submitting whatever you have before the application deadline. So if on doubt, just submit it. Make sure you prepare as much as you can until the submission deadline, but then don't hesitate on submitting your application. Within this first tip, I just also want to make sure I share that it's super important to make your application clear. I know many of you may be applying in a different language, like in English, but your native language is not English. I recommend preparing your application as soon as possible and working through your application during the next couple of weeks that you have until the deadline. There are several components to a successful application, but a key piece is making sure that the information that you're putting out there, that the information that you're using to explain your project is as clear as possible. And things you can do to strengthen it are from asking friends that have a better English-speaking level to proofread your application, just making sure that what you want to come across is as clear as possible. And again, the application deadline is terminal, so please make sure that you mark the correct time and date, which is November 30th, on your calendars, and you're able to submit your application before the deadline. So tip number 2, now we're going to go through what you'll see in the application and what we will talk about as problem solution fit. Problem solution fit is, as you know, every social business, or every business really, and especially every business that is trying to tackle a social issue, starts with a problem, especially in the case of a social business, a societal problem. So we're giving you an advantage here, as we've mapped out 5 problems that we have identified and that we have framed them as challenges. But these 5 challenges are incredibly broad, and there are many sub-problems within them. So there's many options that you can use to tailor your project. Whether you have an existing project and you want to make sure that your project qualifies under one of these streams, or you don't yet have a project, these problematic descriptions, that can be a place where you can start. And the main question you have to think about as you start addressing that challenge is, do you understand the problem that you're trying to solve? Did you immerse yourself in that problem? Do you know it well? Do you really understand it? And do you understand the consequences that is generating? That is super important, because you really need that in-depth understanding to address it. And then only then, if that problem is very clear, how is your solution solving that problem? Is there a clear problem solution fit? Do they fit? Does the solution make sense to address that problem? That is super important, and it's basically what we'd say is the foundational aspect of your submission and what we'll be evaluating. The second one is the technical viability of your product. So this can be definitely very different depending on the kind of challenge stream that you're building, depending on the sub-problem that you're addressing, depending on the product that you're building, depending on where exactly you're building it. It's not the same to building in a place that has a high, fast speed level of digital connectivity to a place that does not, and so on and so on. But ultimately, what you really need to respond is, will your solution be able to work? And can you get it there? So the best possible measurement of if your solution works is obviously to test it out. But this is an early stage competition. You may not have the product ready yet, and you may not have done tests, pilots. If you have, please include in the submission. But if you don't, it's important to give an understanding that you are aware, that you understand what your product, what your project needs to have to be technically viable. So you need to show and you need to demonstrate that you understand what the technical viability of your product would mean. So for example, if you're working on the distribution center, on improvements there, you need to understand, you understand the supply chain to be able to address the different movements within that stem from that distribution center. A fourth tip would be the team. As I said earlier on, this is a super important thing. We really need to see that the team is well balanced. As you can see in the eligibility criteria, teams are to be made from 3 to 5 people. So it's very important that you respect that, but it's also very important that you choose the team that complements each other well. So it's important for you to ask yourself these questions. Does the team have the right skills and experience to implement the project you want to implement? So for example, do you have the technical know-how to make it technically viable, as we were talking just now? Do you have some business understanding to be able to build a business model? Do you have any software or hardware expertise you need to make the distribution center smarter or the product innovation? It's important to know if the team is located in the country where the solution is being developed. So in the country where the problem lies, the place where you want to implement the project, even if it's later, because it's not only about the project itself, it's about understanding the ecosystem, understanding if you know what it takes to make that project and that idea work in a specific context. If the team is not there, do you have networks that can facilitate adoption, that can facilitate testing? If there's skills missing in the team, that is also very likely. Do you have advisors that can fill in the gaps? Is this enough? But essentially, you need to understand, like, do you have the team to take your project where you want it to be, to implement the solution? And last, the fifth one, but definitely not least, is commitment. We really want to see committed teams. As I said repeatedly, it's really not only about the idea, that is a very important first step, but it is about what the foundations of your project are, what the team looks like, and if you have what it takes to take it from the idea into a successful execution. And no successful entrepreneur comes without a very strong passion and commitment. So definitely let us know. Please let us know how, if you know, like demonstrated in many ways, in the way you're talking about your project, in the way you're describing your project. Please let us know if you're committed and you're passionate about it. I just want to highlight a few things on the timeline. So we're very happy with our event today to be opening up the applications. So everyone should be able to start applying as of right now. And it's super important, again, as I mentioned, to make a very big note if you want to apply, to submit your application before November 30th, where we will close applications. The application selection process will be going through December and January. And you should know that during this time, we're going to be shortlisting candidates, and we're going to be asking shortlisted candidates to submit a second stage of the application, which is to submit a video where you'll be able to speak to a camera about your project. This is really low tech kind of thing. This is something that you should be able to record on your phone, on a computer, on any kind of device that you want to record it in. I want to make it very clear that no kind of there will be no kind of assessment on how robust and beautiful and technological your video is. All we want to know is we want to see you, we want to hear you talking about your project. We want to see the team members. If there's well, we actually do want to see your team members, so please do the video together, either if you're together in person or otherwise record a session on Zoom or another kind of platform that allows a virtual convening and a virtual recording of the interaction. So please know that if you are shortlisted, you'll be asked just for a very short video sharing more about your project and talking about it with your team members. The shortlisted teams will be announced at the end of January, and that will spark during February and March what we call the masterclasses and mentorship. Every selected team will be paired with a mentor, and everyone as a cohort will be accessing masterclasses to take your solution to the next level. And really after that period is that we're going to have a virtual pitch, and probably a huge thing that everyone will be waiting for is the prices. There is up to £25,000 in total prices. So I really, really hope that you guys are excited. Work with us, submit the applications, and yeah, good luck to everyone. We really can't wait to read your submissions. Thank you, everyone.